what I'm going to go through is probably a little bit different than what you've heard today, but I think some of the things that we've talked about through the discussions are probably going to be repeated here. So I've had the opportunity to kind of step back probably the last, let me just go back, the last 6 months to kind of figure out, okay, well, what's working in this industry, what isn't? If I could start over, what would I do? I've had the latitude to do that, which has been really great. I caught some sleep, too. And so what I'd like to do is kind of go through and just kind of say to us as a peer group, our practitioners, partners, alliances, colleagues, you know, what do I think we need to do going forward? So it's more of a call to action. And so I'm calling it 7 things we still need to do. And then I've got kind of 3 predictions for the industry that I wanted to walk through as well. So number 1, I think we've heard this, and so I'll say it. I think there are a lot of Me Too companies in the industry. And we kind of heard this already being discussed today. I think we need to start thinking a little bit differently about how we're trying to move this movement forward. And is it better that we're all trying to do it individually and grab our piece of the pie? Or is it better for us to come together and potentially collaborate and consolidate in the space to really make the material change that we want to make? So, you know, as much as we are asking our customers and our partners to be open, I think we need to be more open, and I think we need to join forces, and we need to challenge ourselves about, you know, if 2 companies join forces, would it, you know, 1 + 1, would it equal 3? So that would be one of the things that I would say. We've already talked about this, and I chimed in on this a little bit. We need to innovate our own industry, for God's sake. So, you know, I've been doing this for 10 years. I didn't want to say the number of years, but it has been 10 years. It's like open pit mining. We keep going down and we're digging, and we're persistent. We put the same suit on every day. We go out and we beat the drum, and we try to move what we're doing forward. But it can't be at the cost of us not innovating and us not challenging ourselves around what part of our business models or our service offerings or our platforms will be under siege at some point in the future. So how are we going to innovate? And what that means is be honest about what's working and not working. I think sometimes we mask some of the things that aren't working with the good news. You know, rip off the Band-Aid and get it solved. Responsibility. And this is a bit of a pet peeve for me. This has a little bit to do with the next venture that I've created, which is called Better Ventures. And it's this whole concept of participation commerce. So how does everyone share in the contribution? You can set up another ideas community, but what does that really mean for the participant? What does it mean for the host organization? I think we need to be honest about the crowd compensation models that we've developed to date. I think we need to challenge ourselves to find out whether or not they're still sustainable. What would we change about them? And I think we need to drive you know, changes to make sure that they are fair and they are rewarding for participants. You know, we talk about crowdsourcing. We need a crowd to do that. The crowd is their lifeblood. If they're not on, or if we're not creating a sustainable compensation model for them to participate, they're not going to be there. Encourage adoption. I think we're all doing this. But I would challenge ourselves to go out and to be even more ambitious. And to state the claims and the opportunities that we have as practitioners. Where can we take our clients and our partners? And so on the crowdfunding side, that might be, you know, yeah, Deutsche Bank has said no 10 times. Go back and again. What are they going to say? Or, that client that you've been pursuing, they keep saying no, go back in. Help them understand and frame what we're doing in the context of how they are running their business. Be ambitious and bold. I think this is another key point. I've only got 7, so bear with me here. But with that boldness and that ambition, we really need to walk the talk. So that means that we got to bear down and do the work, and we got to see it through, and we can't quit. And so when things aren't working, you get back there. We're working with one client right now, and we've kind of stumbled on this first phase. And I can see people at the table are like, do we have to keep trying? Keep trying. We got to keep going because we're going to break through. The whole point of what we're doing is not to pilot something. We heard that word earlier, and I'm trying to banish that word. We don't want to do pilots anymore because pilot means we can fail, we can walk away, we can go, oh, it wasn't successful, it was a pilot. It's your first step. So what's your second step going to be? What's your third step going to be? So it's a journey. It's a continuum of testing, failing, winning, success, failure, and we have to keep going. Focusing on results. And I've got another pet peeve of mine is big data. Like the number of times that we hear this concept of big data. Well, what's the value in it? What are we doing with it? There's a term, and I think it was the New York Times published this article, would have been last year, where they talked about thick data. And thick data was the human computation of big data. So you bring those two things together. Then when we see the Watsons of the world, that augmented or that cognitive component. So we have the human, we have the crowd and all of the big data, and then we apply Watson to it. What's going to happen? Like, what could we learn that the human eye isn't seeing? And so, I'm challenging us to take these big, vast amounts of data that we're getting, like in a single crowdsourcing community, the comments alone. Well, how are we analyzing it? What are we doing with it? And this is, another key point for me, and I think I can say this because I came from the platform world. So I founded Curitics, and up until late last year, I was running that company. And what I found was every time you would go into a partner meeting or a customer meeting, you were always selling a platform. And it was never about the platform. It still is not about the platform. It's about the strategy. What is the strategy? What are you trying to achieve? What is your client trying to achieve? What are you trying to achieve as a startup? So that strategy needs to be defined, and the ecosystem needs to be designed to support that strategy. It's not a single platform. It's probably multiple platforms. There's probably an API strategy in there somewhere too. So it's not about the platform. So move away from the platform and think of it as an enablement of the strategy. I love this quote. I had to put it up here. So I'm encouraging us to just do. Just do, right? We're doing good stuff. Let's keep doing good stuff. But we're only going to change and evolve our industry if we do it. So I've got 3 predictions. Number 1, breakouts. So we've heard lots about Indiegogo, Kickstarter. They're the breakouts in the crowdfunding side. There's still lots of opportunity for breakouts in the other areas. We talked a little bit about crowdsourcing being kind of the overarching theme. And then there's crowd innovation. There's crowd labor. So I can go to 99 Designs. I can join the Lego community. There's all of these communities out there. But I would say if we continue this mode of fragmentation and all of us doing the same thing, a bunch of us are going to fail. And so as we heard earlier in our debate, we don't want to see a repeat of 2000 over again. So let's think about how we can create these breakouts. Let's challenge our mind, the preconceived notions and concepts and models that we've established, and blow them up. Intelligence. So I've already kind of talked a little bit about this, but how can we make the shift from data to intelligence? So we've got a whole bunch of data. We're actually exploring this whole concept of cognitive computing on top of these sets of data. And we're coming up with new concepts for businesses to be able to absorb that type of information. So again, I want all of us to be proponents of what we're doing with all of this data. There's discrete individuals in our crowd. There's discrete contributions from that crowd that are being ranked. But then there's all of this qualitative data that we're gathering. What are we doing with it? How do we translate it into value, knowledge, and intelligence for the clients and partners that we're working with? 3. The first wave was content, user-generated content, and we've created communities around this user-generated content. The next thing that has to come into play is commerce. How are we going to commercialize all of this? And we've seen some really good examples. The Lego community, Lego Ideas, I'm sure you guys know about that case study, but the crowd submits a product idea. They have to get so much support before Lego will even look at that idea. They get to a certain number of supporters. Lego goes, okay, we'll take a look at that idea. They bring that idea inside. They evaluate that idea against their business criteria. They are the experts in that case. And then they go back out to the crowd and they say, we want to do that idea or we don't. The catch is that idea generator shares in the reward. So unlike Starbucks, my idea, which is give me the idea, that's great, I'm going to go away and implement it. With Lego, that person now is involved in getting that idea off the ground. And that idea might go through some iterations and some evolution. That's okay. They're highly motivated to participate in the brand, and they want to see their idea on their shelf. And in fact, in some cases, that share of the revenue that they get, they actually donate it to charity. But that full cycle of commercialization, product idea, marketing content, getting that idea to market, that's going to be next. We're seeing it with Instagram. You can now buy inside of your social media. We will be able to buy these products that haven't even been marked for manufacturing. We will be able to pre-buy them in the communities that we're in. I love this quote too, but I love Vivienne Westwood because she's crazy.